Hi, Dr. Sal Giorgiani here for Healthy Men, Healthy Family Show. Thanks for tuning in today. I'm going to talk about a subject that captures the imagination and is certainly a very important one from a medical standpoint and also from a technological standpoint, and that is space sex. Yes, how do you have and what are the things to think about when we consider the medical and physiologic needs as well as the social needs of having sex in space? If we are ever going to colonize other planets, if we are ever going to live in space for any extended periods of time and travel outside our galaxy, we're going to need to understand the how to safely and correctly and affectionately and pleasurably have sex in space, and also if we are to colonize other planets, how to conceive in space and how to give birth in space. This is a topic that people who are serious scientists as well as science fiction writers have speculated about for a very long time. In fact, the great science fiction writer Isaac Asimov, who also was a very serious scientist, wrote an essay in 1973, which was titled Sex in a Spaceship. And he gave some of his observations about some of the impediments and some of the questions that need to be answered. And many of the questions that he posed in that essay, way back in 73, are still questions we're trying to find out some of the answers for. Doing these kinds of studies, as you might imagine, is delicate work. There have been some animal studies done in space, and yes, scientists in space have been able to get rats to conceive and carry babies, but the effects of the radiation and the environment on the developing fetus has not been completely studied. Those studies were terminated before there was a live birth for various reasons, I think technical in nature and timing in nature. There are, of course, no real life experiences now, and I'm sure you can appreciate the environment, even in a spaceship orbiting Earth, and certainly a spaceship traveling outside of the Earth's atmosphere or outside of the planetary sphere of Earth and to the moon and beyond, and certainly into other galaxies, the environment there is very different than the environment that we have now that is designed in part to help facilitate conception and procreation. So, a couple of things that scientists are wrestling with. First, and a big one, is weightlessness. Gravitation, gravitational pull, and normal gravity has a profound effect on blood flow in the genitals, male and female. It has a profound effect on the ability for spermatozoa for fluid dynamics, for sperm to travel to fertilize an egg. It's going to have a profound effect on implantation of a fertilized egg. It'll have an effect on vital signs and vital organ flows during pregnancy. So those are issues which are very difficult to study right now in humans. In fact, one would say that they're not possible in humans. So there's a lot of speculation, a lot of hypotheses, a lot of models, but we really just don't know. There's the physics of intimacy in space. They're all microgravity, and no matter what you read and see in science fiction movies, the gravity in space and gravity on other planets is just not going to be the gravity here. So the microgravity in space poses some interesting physical demands against one body pushing up against another. Uh, I'll let your mind, imagination think about that. But that is something that does need to be considered. How do you have the intimate motions of two bodies uh, move around in space? Do you strap them down? Do you create a hyper environmental situation place for them? Certainly, the privacy issue is in today's space capsules, or even the space capsules that are planned for other missions, and the International Space Station don't allow for an awful lot of privacy. So that too is a consideration. And spontaneity. So you've got the physics and spontaneity and the social circumstances of life in space. The other is radiation. This is a big one. The radiation levels in a spaceship now are much more dangerous than they are on Earth. We don't know what the radiation levels or the types of radiation you'll be exposed to in a orbital spacecraft, let alone a spacecraft that's on the moon or on other planets, would be what effect that will have on fetal maturation, or even on the development of eggs and sperm over the long term as people fly to other planets. So radiation is a very important consideration. Again, no real good ways right now to study that in an actual environment. There are models and things that are being done in labs, but no real information. And lastly is nutritional value. We know that as astronauts come back to Earth, they are given very detailed physicals. Part of what they look at is their nutritional status because the longer you're in space, the more profound effect it has on muscles, muscle development, tissue functional capacity, as well as bone and bone development. So there is an issue of nutrition, not just for the fetus uh, when we travel interstellarly, but also for the astronauts and their ability to conceive, particularly the females. So a lot to think about, a serious subject, which I think tickles some people's fancy, but it is a very serious consideration as we plan on moving past our lives on Earth and to start traveling to and colonizing other planets. So I hope this was an interesting topic for you. And there are lots of other bits of information, more down to earth bits of information on our website at Healthy Men at www.healthymen.org. We're a nonprofit that looks at the health and welfare of boys and men and their families, and we try to make healthcare a little more guy friendly. So thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you in another episode. Okay.